The Renault Lodgy seeks to exploit the popularity of people movers in India, a segment that has grown by leaps and bounds in the last few years. Following the super success of its SUV Duster, for Renault, Lodgy is a logical next step. It has an understated look about it, much like many other European cars, but does it have enough to hold off fierce Japanese rivals Suzuki's Ertiga, Honda's Mobilio, and the king of it all, Toyota's Innova? We find out for you. MPVs are generally not very appealing to the eye, and the Lodgy tries to outdo that by the element of chrome. There is lots of it on the grille, which sits atop the two-tone bumpers, and there is even chrome highlighting the headlamps, which also gets daytime running lights, a first for an MPV in India. The daytime running lights, however, are not LEDs and they use bulb, which I think is a little disappointing. From the side and the rear, the car still looks boxy. There is chrome garnish on the side profile and chrome garnish on the rear tail lamp as well. The tail lamp itself is quite quirky in nature, but it doesn't alter the design in a big way. This car still looks boxy, and you will not buy the Lodgy for its looks. The interiors remind you of the Duster, with which it has a lot of things in common. Yet, Renault has tried to spice it up a little bit to counter the criticism it received for its SUV. The dashboard is dual tone, beige and fume. It gets a 3-pod instrument cluster. It has an infotainment system that is touchscreen enabled, and at the top end trim, it also gets navigation and rear parking sensors and camera. There are lots of cubby holes to fill in your bottles and knickknacks. The upper storage bin is quite large and particularly useful, yet it is not very appealing to the eye because it feels a lot more plasticky. Legroom and headroom in the second row is very good, and it can accommodate 3 adults with reasonable levels of comfort. One problem, however, is that there is no lever on the side of the seat to recline, but it is on the shoulder of the seat. Not a very accessible place in any way. The second row seat has a 60-40 split that can be reclined as well as tumbled forward. Separate cabin seats are also available. The seats can be configured in 56 different ways to increase boot space from 207 litres with all seats upright to 1861 litres with the second and third rows tumbled. In a Lodgy, you will never run out of space. The Lodgy uses Duster's famed 1.5-litre turbocharged diesel engine. But in this car, the engine feels a whole lot different. Compared to the Innova's 2.5-litre turbocharged diesel engine, which is much bigger, this car actually ends up giving you more power and more torque. Mind you, this car is also over 300 kgs lighter than the Innova. In effect, this car is more rev happy and more sprightly to drive. The ride and handling is also one of its strengths. At sudden changes of direction, this car feels more assured and confident. What I don't like too much about this car, however, is the steering feedback. If the steering would have gotten a little more tighter and heavier as we accelerate. The success of the Duster has ensured that Renault is now aware of what it takes to make it big in India, and they have used all that experience in the Lodgy. They have priced the car quite well, placing it in the sweet spot between the Mobilio and the Innova. It has better interiors and lots of space inside, where now Lodgy is clearly the benchmark. This car doesn't have the character or the stance of the Innova, but for the space and utility, it's a thumbs up for Renault Lodgy. Happy driving!